gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. You know, around here, we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Scoreboard Keepers. This is episode 2, and we got something in store for y'all today. I'm your host, the Ref, and I want to introduce you to my co-host, Jay, the Ball Bandit All-Star for 2025. Y'all will find out what that means real soon. Jay, what's going on, baby? What's going on with you? We got a hot topic today, man.
What's going on? Shout out to my fellow bucket getters out there, Scorekeeper Podcast. Like and subscribe, by the way. Shout out to my man. Listen, my man Benny got paid for these vocals that he put on the intro and stuff, man. He gotta get his money somehow. So like and subscribe.
Absolutely. And everybody, you want to get on that table over there. That's the sponsor table over there. So you most definitely want to get on it. You most definitely want to get on that. Man, look, Jay, we might as well get right to this. We got a hot topic today, man. As you can see, we got somebody up there on the board right now.
My man Glenn. Shout out to Glenn, man.
Yeah, shout out to Glenn, man. Shout out to Glenn, because you most definitely won't be called Doc up here.
No, absolutely not. First of all, I can't respect another man that make another black coach lose his job right before Black History Month. That's crazy. I can't respect that.
You coming in hot.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna let you speak, but we're gonna get on Glenn. I'm trying to figure out how this keeps happening.
Man, let me tell you something. I don't know how it keeps happening. I'm right now, I'm just blown away how, I'm just surprised how he keeps getting. It's not the fact that he's getting a job, it's the fact that he's getting head coaching jobs. That's where I'm blown away by.
Well, clearly there's no requirement to be a head coach anymore in the NBA, obviously. For those who don't know, and the reason why I say that is because if you look at Doc's track record, and again, a lot of people would be like, oh, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Oh, his all-time win-loss record is, one of the better ones in the league. Maybe true. Mm-hmm. But people, let's look back at what Glenn had, right? He started his career off with the Magic from 1999 to about 2003. So he literally had one of the best talents of our early generation in Tracy McGrady at the Magic. Like, of course you're going to win those games, right? Yeah, the only person that Kobe has ever respected and said that he was on his same level outside of Michael Jordan was Tracy McGrady. So you had that kind of talent. Didn't do anything with it. Had a very mediocre Orlando team. Then you go to Boston, right? So then from 2004 to about 2006, 2007, very mediocre, bad, not bad team, but they're not Boston of old. They weren't the Boston of new. They were just middle of the road. Then you get the biggest gift that you can possibly get from Danny Ainge, and you had 3 bona fide Hall of Famers on your team, and you got a chip. And I think that's where the whole Doc Rivers, allure and like legend started, right?
So it would be safe to say that he hasn't really validated himself in the league yet as a coach.
Benny, look, bro, listen, bro. If me and you had that team, we ain't got a coach either. Like, all you gotta do is basically make sure you just don't mess up the rotations. You had Kevin Garnett, you had freaking Ray Allen, you had Paul Pierce, you had a young Rajon Rondo, but he was very talented. You had Sam Cassell coming off the bench, so you had a floor general coming off the bench. You had a young Brandon Bass, and you had a dog in Tony Allen. I can't mess that up. I just gotta make sure my rotation is right.
And they had Big Baby.
Yeah, down the road. That's what I'm saying. So you from 2008 up until pretty much 2013, you had a great team that dominated
Right.
the East until the Miami Heat came into play with LeBron.
Right.
And that was the only thing that really stopped you. So to me,
Well,
all
well,
that's fluff.
check this out. I want you to slow down right now because I want to let everybody know out here in the audience right now. They're probably wondering what's going on back there in the background because Glenn has made the board. Now, I just want to
Yeah.
let you guys know out there that the scoreboard keepers around here, as you know in the intro, we said that we don't keep receipts, we keep the score. So, what that means basically is that as you can see, Glenn is on the board as our guest. He's on the guest side of the board. So if you support Glenn, the points will go up if it makes sense on that side of the board. But the home side is where I am. And I totally disagree with him being accepted as the all-star coach. So when I make my points, I'll be able to put my points up on the board. And right now, I'm going to start that clock. Okay.
Mhm.
And he's officially on the board. Pick up
Oh
where
yeah. Pick up where I left off. Oh yeah.
pick up where you left off.
Then we go back. Then we go to the Clippers, and
Mm-hmm.
he was during that Lob City, the Lob City era. So you had a
Yeah.
prime Chris Paul, Blake
Mm-hmm.
Griffin coming into his prime, a young
Mm,
prime DeAndre Jordan. By the way, you
good point.
lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Houston Rockets when you
Good
were up
point.
3-1. Which again,
Mm,
let's not talk about all the 3-1 losses that he had in his career.
mm-hmm.
Not he did it
Great
with the
point.
Sixers too. And
Mm,
speaking of
great
Sixers,
point.
he also had former MVP James Harden and current MVP Joel Embiid, or current reigning MVP Joel Embiid,
Yep.
and couldn't get the
Yep.
job done too. So my
Mm,
thing is, if you put any other coach in his situation and the amount
mm-hmm.
of talent this man has, the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you got Adrian Griffin fired, and the reason why I say that is because again, you were the special consultant to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now I don't know
Mm,
what goes on into that locker room. Maybe there could have been a true problem. Maybe they couldn't. But it's it's
right.
it's amazing to me that a coach like him, I don't care what kind of issues you have in the locker room, when your team
Right.
was second in the East during conference at the
Mm,
time, and he got fired, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden you get the job, Mister. I'm a legendary coach, but I can't win
Woo,
with none of the
woo,
big games. And then all of
woo.
a sudden, you get placed as the All Star Game coach, and that wasn't even your record that got you there. Like you had, again, whether they had an issue with Adrian or not, you
Right.
weren't the guy making the play calls when it counted for them to have the second best record in
That's a
the
good
in the
point.
East. So how do
Good.
you get to be the All Star Game head coach? Like,
That's a good point.
why can't Nick Nurse be the head coach then? Why can't
Now, now
my
I will
man Joe
say this.
Mazzulla?
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I'll give him a point because they said that Joe Mazzulla was ruled out because he was the coach. I believe it was last year.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's why they said Joe Mazzulla was ruled out. So I will give him a point for that.
Which is
But
fine, but then why can't Nick Nurse be when he has the third best
I
record in the East?
totally agree. Great point because he could be, and
And he has
with a host of others. But
yeah,
see,
and
I
he
say
actually
this right.
coached.
I
Yeah.
say this. The crazy thing is that he has only one win. He had one win at the time with the Bucks, and they decided to do that. So before I go into the whole spew, let's take a look. Let's get a little background search. Let's get a little background to the story, and hold tight. I'll give you a little background to this whole entire story, people. Let's see.
Being named All-Star Coach needs to be discussed. Glenn Rivers named coach of the 2024 East All-Stars raises a serious question. Why? He was just recently hired as Milwaukee Bucks head coach, and he was chosen over some very decorated coaches in the league who have been employed since the beginning of the season, many well accomplished. Like Eric Spoelstra, Miami Heat, J.B. Bickerstaff, Cleveland Cavaliers, Jock Vaughn, Brooklyn Nets, Tom Thibodeau, New York Knicks, Rick Carlisle, Indiana Pacers, just to name a few. Apart from winning a title with the over-talented roster in Boston, Glenn Rivers has been average at best and is well known for blowing 7-game series leads. This decision leaves many baffled, asking themselves how or why, making his selection the obvious elephant in the room. His selection over all the well-decorated coaches in the Eastern Conference makes this choice debatable, especially with just having one official victory under his belt as head coach with his new squad. Beginning in December 2023, Rivers began serving as an informal consultant to Milwaukee Bucks first-year coach Adrian Griffin at the team's request. On January 26, 2024, after firing Griffin after 43 games, the Bucks announced that Rivers was hired as their head coach. Now this questionable decision has found its way on the board with Scoreboard Keepers. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
That's absolutely amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Wait,
That's absolutely
time out.
yeah.
Time out. Who'd you get to do the narration for that?
Oh man.
Yo, you got interns back there. Like, I didn't know. I'm thinking you found this video, and I'm like, oh man, he got someone that actually made this. I'm like, okay. Time back in.
Yeah, we working over here. We're working over here to be the best, baby. We're working over here to be the best. You know what I mean? That's what we're shooting for, to be the best. You know what I mean?
I'm impressed.
We don't want to be like the rest, Jay. We want to be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
hey, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I'll tell you what's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The fact that I had almost forgot about Bernie Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
And stuff that he was doing.
It's so many other, again, the reason why he's on the board, right? Because the biggest question is why him? Why out of all those coaches were very correct in their own right. All their teams are playing at a high level, minus Brooklyn right now. I mean, I think they are starting to come back, but at the same time, don't nobody want to watch Brooklyn on primetime television. I'm not going to lie to you. I love Mikal Bridges. Should have been a Sixer, but I don't want to watch Brooklyn on TNT. But regardless, their coach is doing a great job, and it's just like all these people who started from the season, like from the beginning of the season to now. You could have had so many other characters. I would have loved to see Thibodeau or Spoelstra as an all-star coach. I know they've done it in the past, but I would love to see that. Because at least they coach more than one game. And that's the key thing. Like, my guy, you came in. First of all, again, the Bucks are talented enough where you're going to win games automatically just off of talent. Like, you're going to beat those types of teams like the Detroits of the world. Or, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, you getting one game doesn't justify the fact that you should be the all-star head coach, to be honest. So, I just don't understand it. I don't understand what the Bucks are doing. I am curious to see what happens this year for the postseason because, again, you have arguably probably the second best, if not the best player in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then you also have one of the better premier guards in Dame Lillard, and then you have an all-star in Chris Middleton also on your team. So I don't want. So what excuses are we gonna make up for Glenn this time? Because if they get knocked out in the second round, shoot, I don't care. Anything less than the NBA Finals to me, you have no excuse now. Because again, that was a winning team, and they were winning before you. So if you can't get them over the hump and get them the championship, to me, this is a failure because you fired a young coach that you could have had for a long time to build with this team, and instead you picked a guy who had multiple times to prove himself, and he continues to show us that he fails with talent. He literally fails with talent, and so again, I'm very curious to see what y'all excuse. Oh, he ain't having for the whole season. Well, we're not even at the All-Star break yet, so he had half a season to figure it out. And again, it's the team, the roster is so talented. What is there to figure out? Outside of rotations. And
great point. You know what's crazy? Go ahead.
What? No. That was
it. What's crazy is that with them overlooking all of these coaches and just selecting him, it was almost like I was thinking about it for a second. I was like, you know what? Maybe they just assumed that it would be like them reuniting him with Joel Embiid. If at that time before the injury, maybe they thought they would be reuniting him and Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and maybe it would make for a story. But it still wouldn't have made sense at the end because they didn't Tyrese Maxey, they were saying that Tyrese Maxey didn't even get along with Doc Rivers really,
But that's
he didn't. So I
but
don't
that's
think
what
it
I'm
was a
saying.
story there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think it was a story there.
I genuinely think that Glenn has made a lot of friends in the league, and because of
Mm,
that, he gets a lot more opportunities than most people. Because
mhm,
again, I can't think of too many coaches. I mean, listen, I can't think of too many coaches that get fired with a winning record and get replaced by a subpar coach. I mean, this to
agree.
me, this feels like David Blatt all
I
over
agree.
again. When David
I
Blatt
agree.
had the best record in the league and got fired. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Adrian Griffin had the
You
second
know,
best record
with
in the
him
league.
with him being a liaison to the team, I thought that was scandalous
Yeah,
because it's
but that's what,
that's scandalous.
but that's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, the guy who has the second most wins in the Eastern Conference gets fired, and then the consultant takes over. It'd be different if you told me we got Joe
Good
Schmo
point.
from overseas, or we took
Mm-hmm.
or maybe there's a college coach right now that's just killing it. And you're like, hey, I don't want to
Right.
risk him getting on the market. We're gonna hire him now. Fine.
Right.
Then I'd be like, okay, then maybe there is some internal issues that are going on with Adrian Griffin, or again, maybe
Right.
Adrian Griffin is acting like Ime Udoka, and we just don't know about it. But the fact that we ain't hear no scandals come out of this,
We
the
didn't hear
only thing that
anything.
came out of this was Glenn is going to be in charge. And this
Good
man
point.
came in the press
Right.
conference smooth as
Right.
anything, like he
Right.
knew
Yeah.
this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like he knew
Yeah.
he knew it was going to happen. He was too smooth in that press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had all the answers. Like, and again, I get you a seasoned vet or whatever at this, but nah,
Mm-hmm.
like my man got booted out of here, and then all of a sudden, a week later, after you get the job, oh, all of a
Right.
sudden he's an all-star head coach. Oh no!
Right.
And again,
And you're right.
don't
We didn't hear anything coming out of the locker room.
don't
We didn't hear
all we
anything.
the only thing we saw was the players started dancing once they announced that Adrian Griffin was gone. That's why I said, look, there might have been something there. But
Mm-hmm.
first of all, to the players, how immature are you guys to do something like that anyway? That's
Yeah.
very low class of y'all because regardless of the
Unprofessional.
fact,
Unprofessional
yeah,
too.
because literally, no matter what, regardless of how y'all felt about him, he still had
Right.
y'all winning. Considering the fact that Dame still hasn't played majority of this year because he's been in and out the lineup. Chris
Yep.
Middleton hasn't been able to find his legs since he got hurt
Mm-hmm.
a couple those 2 years ago. And then
Yeah.
again, Giannis is he's just a one man show, but he still
Good.
don't have a consistent jump shot. So
That's good. That's good
and
point.
again, last time I checked, a coach is only supposed to put X's and O's. I can't teach you how to be healthy. I can't teach you how to
Right.
shoot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to learn how to shoot, unless you want to learn to eat right and take care of your body. Don't get me wrong. The
Right.
NBA is definitely a wear and tear type of league, but at the same time,
Mm.
that man was working what he got, and you got old man Brooke Lopez out there, and he's still
Yeah.
winning games. Like
Yep.
y'all
Yep.
got the Nasus on the team wasting up a roster spot.
Yeah.
Who can't play basketball, but then y'all
Yeah.
looking at but y'all got an issue with freaking Adrian Griffin. Like, so it's one of those
Mhm.
things where again, there could have been something there, but one, they need to handle it better. And two, this is not who I think you should replace him with. Not after again, you had a current reigning MVP and a former MVP and you couldn't get past the second round again.
Ooh, good
like
point. Yeah, good
like
point.
that
Good point.
that's your first coaching decision was like, hey, let's get the guy that keeps choking in the big
Well, let me
moments.
ask you. Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
do you think that Adrian Griffin knew that Glenn wanted his job? Do you think that
Listen,
do you think that he was threatened? Was he uncomfortable working?
I
Was he
mean, I
uncomfortable working?
I mean, let's be honest. Let's talk to the bucket getters out there, right? We all have that
Right.
moment when we all work our job. The new person, everyone
Right.
loves them. They come on
Right.
board, and then they start
Mhm.
asking a lot of questions, and then they try to be
Yep.
friendly with you. But in the back of your mind, everybody always have that, like, yo, I can always be replaced. Is this
Right.
person coming or gunning for me? Now,
Right.
with Mr. Glenn over here, If
Mhm.
I'm Adrian, I'm sure he did think about it because think about it.
Yeah.
Glenn also,
Right.
before this consultant job and then ultimately landing a TV analyst job before this
Mhm.
consultant job, remember
Yeah.
he applied. He went out to try to be the Suns coach and got denied. You know what
Mm.
I mean? They didn't
Good
pick
point.
him.
Yeah.
Remember
Good point.
he did interview for this Bucks job before Adrian Griffin got it, and he just didn't get it.
Ooh.
Like
Ooh.
so,
Great
it's not.
point.
So it's
Yeah.
not like there wasn't interest. So the fact that you got the job over the guy and then he's the consultant of the team. So I don't know in
Mhm.
what capacity he had an answer to him or how much input he has. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, I wouldn't even be surprised my man tried to sabotage him in any type of way because you're consulting my team even though you wanted my
Mhm.
job. That's kind of wild. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so
And I'm wondering how he's looking at management now or his former management when they made that decision because they had
yeah.
him basically consulting the man that was trying to take his job the entire time. So how did he
Yeah.
even know that he was getting how does he even know that he was getting good information from that consultant?
But and that's my point, right? Or again, if I'm Adrian Griffin, I'm thinking, well, how long have these conversations been going on since he got let go from the Sixers too? Because now I'm
Yeah.
wondering, why'd you pick me over him if you really wanted him in the first place? Because
Yep.
was it because it was a contract thing? Was it because somebody preferred me over him at the time,
Right.
and they just wanted to say, oh, we'll give him a shot?
Or
Or
was there always a backup plan?
And yeah, that's the thing. Could it have been one of the players, one of the star players, just like, yo, I really don't like him, but I like Doc because he's a
Yeah.
consultant, he's a player, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Cause that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like we don't know, but it regardless of how it turned out or whatever.
Ri
Again,
right.
all around it was just handled poorly. It was
Poorly. I agree.
poorly it was poorly handled by the players. It was poorly
I
handled by the
agree.
Bucks. It was
I
poorly handled
agree.
by the league for even electing him to be an All-Star coach. This
Yeah.
whole thing is just poor. And the thing is, they keep trying. They just like smoothed over this too. Like
Mhm.
they announced it. It got traction for a day or so, and then they just
Right.
try to push. You should try to push it along. No, 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 no. Bring it back because
Yeah.
y'all not gonna just
Yeah.
act like this is a normal thing. Like
Right.
successful coaches is out here just getting fired for no reason.
Right.
Like
Right.
like 'cause
And,
the thing is,
it's a
like I
damn
said,
shame. It's a damn shame because, like, the man was doing the best that he could. He had some veterans on that team. Okay, they've been
yeah,
around for a while, but for them to send him out the door like that, even if he was to go get another job right now or try to get another job right now, look at
mhm,
how he was sent out of the door as a winning coach. He had
yep.
30 wins under his belt, and he was coaching one of the best players in the league, two of the best players in the league right now, and they sent him out of the door like that. So what's the excuse?
And not for nothing too, mind you, they were they're number two in the East, but they also blew out the Boston Celtics, who are number one right now. So it's not
Yeah,
like their number two is
yeah,
one of those, oh, we just beat up on bad teams and we're number two. No, like he was beating good teams to get that number two. It's just
yeah. I
again
agree.
with all the back to backs and stuff like that, you're gonna lose some. It's
You
just
know what
happening
was
that the Celtics haven't lost as much as them, but it's not like they didn't rightfully earn that number two spot.
right,
So unless you
right,
tell me this man had a scandal that was about to come out or something, which again, if that's the case, then look, give them 5 points on their side. But until
right,
until that
right.
day
That's a great
happens,
point, man. That's a great point. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. The one word that I didn't like that didn't set with me well when I heard it was I heard the GM say one of the reasons that they had to make the decision and make the change was because they was trending in the wrong way. I don't know what he meant by that when he said it was trending in the wrong way, but the way I got it and some of the body language I seen coming from Giannis, I did not like it. I never even thought that he was capable of acting like that towards his coach. The problem I have is I never saw him act like that with his previous coach. He never showed that kind of body language with his previous coach. But I saw him doing things where Adrian Griffin was almost like, they say familiarity breeds contempt. And
hmm
that's what I saw with him. he was like putting them on blast, like going sitting over there on the scorer's table and like looking at him with his arms folded, like, what you want me to do? Like, we want you
Mhm.
to get out here and do your job. It was like enough that that you be ready to grab him up. You be ready to grab him up. It's like, man, like you putting your coach on blast like that. It was disrespectful, man. I didn't like
So
it.
so let's put it like this, right? So Giannis, the old coach of the Bucks, very
Yeah.
highly respected coach, been a coach around the league for a long time, right? Okay.
Right.
Adrian Griffin is the new kid on the block. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong, he's been around the block for a while. I mean, again, he came from the Raptors, coaching tree, the Nick Nurses of the world. You know what I mean? Like he's been
Good point.
around for a while. He has a championship under his belt, just like how Giannis does. But again, maybe
Mm-hmm.
because he's new to the head coaching job, maybe
Mm-hmm.
Giannis saw something where he's like, I don't believe I have to listen to you because you
Mm-hmm.
weren't the head guy that won it. And again, hey, if that's your mentality as a superstar and you think
Mm-hmm.
Glenn, who yes, he won it, but he hasn't won it recently. Listen,
Right.
2008 was a long time ago. A long
Yeah.
time ago. We're
Right.
almost approaching 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
And my man Glenn ain't won it since then. And
Right.
he
He ain't
hasn't been
sniffed it.
close since then.
Right. He
But
ain't
that's what I'm
sniffed
saying. Think about it.
Right. Right.
Think about it. Since 2010, which was I believe it was Lakers Celtics. It was either 2010 or 2009, one of those 2 years. Glenn has
Mm-hmm.
not been back to an NBA Finals. He's been coaching
Mm,
ever since
mm,
then. From
mm.
2006, pretty much to
Mm-hmm.
2022, basically,
Mm-hmm.
he's been
Yeah.
coaching and has not. So it's been almost 12,
Yeah. Like,
13 years since he's been to a
yeah.
finals. So
Yeah.
you telling me if you are trying to gain respect from a guy who hasn't recently won a title and almost, or even seen the court of a finals for
Mm-hmm.
almost 10, 15 years, and that's what you're going for, again,
Mm-hmm.
the question I propose to the Bucks, especially their players, then
Mm-hmm.
what's next? Because if Glenn can't do it, then who y'all gonna go for? Because
Right.
if that's
Good
the
point.
attitude your superstar are gonna have towards coaches, unless you're gonna
Right.
get a winning coach who
Right.
recently been
Yeah.
there,
Right.
who's he going who's is he gonna act like this the whole time? Is he gonna have this superstar syndrome where like, hey, it's me, I am the market, I am the team, which
Yeah.
he is the team, but at the
Yeah.
same time, my
I
friend, you also getting beat by a lot of teams too. And that whole I'm gonna
man.
run down the
Is it?
court and dunk on people. I give you another
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 years because once that athleticism's out of here, Doc,
Yeah.
you're gonna just be
Yeah.
an average, maybe
Every
above average
player.
player.
Yep. Yep. And
Like,
I agree with you because I'm not all that impressed with his low post move. He needs a head of steam in order to get his
yeah,
offense going. He needs a head of steam.
he is literally, we call LeBron the freight train. He's literally a semi truck. He gotta
Yeah.
be moving downhill. He's not
Yep.
moving downhill. He only got 2 or 3 moves, and then that's it.
Yep.
Ain't none of those moves gonna work when you can't elevate or jump anymore.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you.
Like,
How you feel about the way the game's going right now? I've been looking at that recently anyway. I've been looking at that like I've been looking at how a lot of these players are now settling for jump shots. The bigs don't have low post moves. We moved to like the D and threes, you know, and
I mean,
it's I'm really not feeling the game right now.
listen. So again, the game is always going to evolve. It's forever changing. I mean, we went from shooting in peach baskets to now
Yeah.
kids at the age of
Hmm.
12 are able to dunk on 10-foot courts. Like, it's one of
Hmm.
those things where it's like I don't hate the transition of the game. I
Hmm.
just wish there was more players who had a higher IQ and recognize when they need to do certain aspects of the game, right? And
Right.
what I mean by that is like we have, like you said, we have everybody, including big men, shooting threes. Now, listen,
Hmm.
if you're an undersized big man, by all means, have at it. But if you are over 7'2", 7'3", and you got some weight
Hmm.
to you, and I see you at the
Hmm.
3-point line, I have an
Yeah.
issue. But that goes to
Yeah.
coaching, right? Like you gotta
There it
know how to
is.
be able to you gotta know how to
There it
coach
is.
men
I
at
was
that
just
level.
I
And
was just about to go there because Glenn Rivers was notorious for allowing Joel Embiid to shoot from the perimeter and never developed a low post game really in his
Correct.
entire tenure. His
Listen,
entire
this
tenure, he
year,
was awful inside the paint.
Joel, albeit he's having a better shooting year outside,
Hmm.
his presence inside has been the best I've seen in his career as a 76er right now. I mean, if you
After
saw when he
Glenn,
scores, yeah, but I mean, if you saw when he scored that 72 points this year, it was all in the paint for the most part.
hmm
And
hmm
I could tell that this year in 2023, I don't know if it was Nick Nurse, I don't know if it was his mentor who was Hakeem Olajuwon, but
hmm
I see more post moves from him this year, which is
hmm
allowing him to be the dominant force we already knew he was and what he
hmm
can be. I mean, listen,
hmm
the man averaging 35, 11, and he's averaging 6 assists. And most of his
hmm
assists are coming from when he gets double team on the block. This
hmm
kid same with Jokic, right? So
hmm
everybody hates the Joker, but the Joker
hmm
has a post game and he knows how to score on the block as well as shooting.
hmm
That to
hmm
me, that shows good coaching and good player IQ because they
hmm
understand now when they need to dominate on the block or when they need to pull somebody out on the perimeter
Facts.
and they can shoot them.
Facts.
Because the one
Right.
thing I do like about Joel this year is he does shoot the three a little too much for my liking. However,
Mhm.
this year what I've been seeing him do, he'll hold it, pump fake, and then
Mhm.
if the big man try to close out, he'll blow by them and dunk the ball. That's what
Right.
if you're gonna be on the perimeter, that's what I need you to do as a big man.
Mm.
Understand that you guys cannot stop me from the outside if you give me enough time to set up, but you
Mhm.
definitely can't stop me on the inside whether you're there or not. And that's
Mm.
why
Mm.
it's a shame that, of course, he's playing the best basketball I've seen him play, and he goes down.
Under Nick
And
Nurse.
yep, which, by the
Mm.
way, for all and this is just a sign note. This has nothing to do with Glenn or anybody. This is just
Mhm.
because we're talking about Joel Embiid. For all those media people that say he shouldn't be in the running for MVP just because he's going to miss these games, you are full of yourself and you don't know what you're talking about. And you don't know the game of basketball. Because to me, the last
Mm.
time I checked, MVP meant most valuable player, and without
Mhm.
Joel Embiid, the Sixers are like 4 and I believe like 18 or something like that.
So
They
you
only won
saying so you
four.
basically saying so you saying it's the MVP, not the MGP, most games
Yeah,
played. Right.
exactly. Because my
Mhm.
thing is, I know for a fact they're 28-10 with Joel Embiid playing.
Mhm.
28-10.
Mhm.
28-10, the most dominant big man, 35 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists as a big man.
Let
But
me
he
give you a
can't be in
crazy
the
stat.
running.
Let me give you a crazy stat though. Do you know
Hmm.
that I'm gonna start with this first of all. I'm gonna say this that I believe right now that the team is a lottery team without him. I
Oh,
believe that
100%.
the way they're playing now, even though they got some new additional pieces, I believe that Glenn left that team in shambles because they don't know how to play with each other. They're not familiar with each other when he's not on the floor because when he's on the floor, everything's filtered through him. And I thought that was a mistake. And how do I know that? Bro, he when he scored that 70 points that everybody was talking about, everybody was talking about that 70 points and they was on it big time, right? They only won by 10 points. Now, when you score 70 points, that you would think that that's going to be a blowout. They only won by 10. That game wasn't even a blowout at all. He scored his 70, but the game was actually in reach for they could have lost that game with him dropping 70. I didn't like
Yeah.
that at all. And I square that blame squarely on Glenn Rivers' shoulders because of the way that he left that team, the way that he was dealing with Tyrese Maxey, never developing a stop and pop. Everywhere he goes, it's like the same thing. I believe that he's going to do the same thing with Damian Lillard. I believe Dame's going to turn on him.
So here's the thing. I don't disagree with you with the part that Doc played because,
Mhm,
again, Doc is that simple. We're gonna run this offense through this best player. We're not gonna develop different plays, and then I'm just
mhm,
gonna pray that this talent is gonna push me. That was
mhm,
his mo. Because the reason, like for instance, let me go back for a second. Reason why the
Right.
Celtics won in '08 is because Paul Pierce was an amazing shot creator. Ray Allen was a
Mm.
dead eye shooter. So
Mm.
anytime you passed it to him, he was going to hit it. Rondo was a great floor general, very
Phew.
young, but he was way
Yes.
ahead of his time in floor general.
Yes.
And you
Yes,
had
he
a
was.
defensive monster in Kevin Garnett and Kendrick
Mhm.
Perkins. That
Mm.
dynamic duo in the back was very deadly. And also, by the way, Kevin Garnett can give you 25 points any night, and he was one of the best mid-range shooters probably our generation has ever seen out of a big man, right? So
Mm.
with
Mm.
that kind of starting five, you don't need to coach that much. Not for nothing. Because
Right.
three
Right.
three out of the five players can get their buckets. And then when Rondo found out that he knew he could score, oh, you
Mm.
have four people with the green light to score, and all
Mm.
Kendrick Perkins had to do was protect the rim. So
Yep.
let's let me get so for him to allow them to say for the Sixers to get so comfortable trying to play through one player, it makes sense to me because again, to me, Glenn never knew how to coach. Think about it. When he left the Celtics, he always had Rondo. He was a true floor general. IQ was high. Even when
Yep.
Doc left, Rondo was still running the Celtics. We were still a relevant team, smooth
Yep.
as butter. Then you
Yep.
get to the Clippers. Well, guess
Mhm.
who's your floor general when you get to the Clippers? Chris Paul. Chris
Chris.
Paul is a coach within himself. So again,
Yep.
to me, Glenn
Good
ain't never
point.
really had to coach because he always
Yep.
had a great point guard that can coach for him. Again,
Yeah.
like
He loves
Chris
vets.
Paul, Chris Paul, Lob City was because of Chris Paul. He said he
Mhm.
literally has stories where he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna throw it up here and y'all
Mhm.
go get it." That
Mm.
that's not a play that you write up saying, "Oh, Blake Griffin, he's gonna throw it up there. You go get it." You don't plan that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
Right.
He probably did coach some plays in there, but again, uh, the Brandon Knight dunk on by DeAndre Jordan, that wasn't no play. That was
Yeah.
just them being talented, and my man got crucified. That's what
Right.
that was and ended his career. So now we go to
Right.
this. So you're coaching now everything through your big man. You're not really
Mhm.
finding ways to get everyone involved. Mind you, you had
Mhm.
Tobias Harris at the Clippers for the longest time. So I don't
Mhm.
know why you don't utilize him more because that's the whole reason why they brought you in. So then you went in, so they don't look dumb since they let Jimmy Butler go. But then
Right.
it's also a combination of other things too, right? Daryl Morey.
Mhm.
You did all this work to get James Harden over here, aka
Mhm.
Cheeseburger Eddie, what I used to call him when he used to play for Sixers, because he used to eat everything. Um,
Right.
you get Cheeseburger Eddie over here. He don't play
Yeah.
like an all star no more. He wants to leave.
Nah.
Now
Can't
you
jump
get all
over a
these,
sheet of paper.
yeah, but now you are pretty much what supporting this whole idea that we can only play through Joel Embiid because once you traded him, you got a bunch of pieces that only work around Joel Embiid. And now guess
Mm.
what? When he's gone, none
Mhm.
of these pieces work. Pat Beverly
Mhm.
looks lost out there. He just out here just being Pat Beverly, which you can't be a dog when you ain't got no dog behind you because you're gonna get
Yep.
blown by a better guard every single time. You
Yep.
you know, no one because
Your
they're not
jumper's not
collapsing.
your jumper's not that great. Your
Yeah,
jumper's not that
because
great.
Kelly Oubre is doing BMX stuff, and then he getting
Yeah.
hurt, and then so I don't
I
know where his focus is at. But even
I
then,
believe he's
he's
still
still
hurt.
yeah. I mean, and again, they're tough defensive players. Don't get me wrong. I'm joking. And on the side comments, they're very good defensive pieces, but they're offensively they're lacking. There's no one
Mhm.
in the paint that have the defense collapse. So Nicholas Batum has been pretty much useless because he can't. Because again, he's not like he creates his own shot. He's a spot up shooter. Then you have
Right.
Tobias still being Tobias. You never know what
Mm.
night what Tobias you're getting. Are you getting the LA Clippers All Star Tobias? Or are we getting
Mhm.
the regular 76ers Tobias that sometimes he'll score 12, sometimes he'll even give you a 14 pointer, 14
Mhm.
points, but he can't do nothing against good teams. um,
Mhm.
and then now you got to rely on this young guard that you have in Tyrese Maxey to pretty much drop 40 plus in order for you to win. Because bear in
Mm.
mind, for those games that they won without Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey had to drop like 50 plus points just to even win because he got no help. And that's the thing. You built a team around a big man that hoping that he's going to continue to average 40 plus, and then Tyrese has
Mhm.
to average 30 because, like I told you before, when you were excited when they got all those pieces, It only works as long as the big man is in there. And right now, it's proving me right that they can't do nothing without the focal point, which is the big man, which pretty much saying that we support where Doc philosophy was going and his coaching of having everything play through him, and that's why James Harden suffered. You have a former multi-time scoring title and
Mm-hmm.
MVP award
Right.
winner, and you don't
Right.
have nothing flow through him. James
Mm.
Harden had 9 points in that game seven.
Mm. He said,
Nine
"I am the
points.
system." He said, "I am the system."
How you only how is how even if he was struggling, how do you not make plays for him to start get going? He had 9 points.
Mm. Mm,
Even if I
mm,
was
mm.
wrong on 9 points, I know he ain't had no more than 12.
Yeah.
He had
And
nine
I knew
points.
that was a problem too because, as Glenn was coaching him, he would come down and he would come down, would dribble the ball down, but he's passing that thing off. If that pick and roll wasn't there, it was like I seen him get stuck a lot. He got stuck a lot of times, man.
Yeah.
He got
Because the
stuck a
thing
lot
is,
of times.
because look what he's doing now at the Clippers. He's thriving.
Yeah.
So with two other All Stars.
Yeah.
So clearly
Yeah.
he knew. So even before before he got to the Sixers when he was with the Nets, he
Yeah.
still showed he could play with other All Stars.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
confused. Why if you're really that good of a coach, if my star is struggling, I am making plays for him to get going. There's no way he's going to finish with 9 points. There ain't no
I
way.
don't even think I don't think I've ever seen Glenn with a whiteboard.
No, I'm gonna tell you exactly what he does. He walks in the middle of the court with his back turned while they get ready. He waits for his little assistant coach to get them set up, and then he walks back with only 20 seconds out of the 60-second timeout left,
What the
and then say, and then be like, "We need to play hard. Y'all need to get up and down the court. If we keep he's he's what I think he's to me what Nick Sirianni is to the Eagles. He's just a rah rah motivational speaker guy, and he's hoping that his talent will get him to the next level. That's basically what it is. Because again,
Wow. That's
ain't no way if I am him and James Harden
mhm.
got 9 points in a game seven against this savvy Boston Celtics squad, I am running
Right.
a spread offense and I'm
Mhm.
saying, yo, match up with him one on one. If somebody come off you, then you pass it to the corner to one of your shooters. Until then,
Right.
I have the best ISO player in the league. I am letting him cook until he gets hot.
Let me ask you this. Now that Adrian Griffin is available, where would you see him? Where do you think the best place for him to land is at?
If they didn't pay him so much money, I'd have said Detroit Pistons, but Monty over there just collecting the check, ain't he? Just
Yeah.
Monty,
Yeah.
Monty's the biggest winner of 2023. He said we're gonna
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
worst record in NBA history and beat the war.
And the biggest
He
check.
beat he beat y'all. He beat the Sixers losing streak. I didn't think that was even possible because they had Jaleel Okafor, Nerlens Noel. They
Mhm.
had a bunch of big men and scrubs on that team. They had Tory
Yeah.
Norton on that team. Yeah, most
Yeah.
people don't even remember that bull.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of no names on that Sixers team, and they
Yeah.
beat
And
that
that and
record.
it went into 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The losing record went into 2 seasons.
So the fact that they he beat that record and still got a
Yeah.
coaching job is
It's
beyond
amazing.
me. But
He got some young stars up there though. They just all young. They got one of the youngest teams in the league.
yeah, but you
But I
just said the
can't
key
see I
word.
can't I
But
can't
you
see
said the key
Adrian.
word.
What's that, the youngest?
Young stars. That Sixers team ain't had no stars.
No,
Ain't
you're
none of
right.
them. Ain't
Yeah.
none of them.
Yeah.
If you
Good
think back
point.
on that team, none of them are
Mhm.
starters right now. None of them. Some of them not even in the league anymore.
Mm. Mm.
Old Jason Richardson was your starting shooting guard for that team, and he even
Ooh.
played during that losing streak,
Oh, that's a good point. Going out the door, Jason Richardson.
and he didn't
He
even
was
make
on his
it
way out.
because he did a 360 dunk at the Bucks game, and then he tore his ACL. He tore something because I ain't see him for the rest of the
Yeah.
season, and that was the
Yeah.
start of the losing streak.
Good point. That was the start of it all right there. It
Yeah,
was, it was, it was
so
all it was all going to hell after that.
yeah, because remember you had a young Jeremy Grant who they ended up trading, and he didn't even
Yeah.
touch the floor. You
Mhm.
had You had Jaleel Okafor, who was a bust. And then you had Nerlens Noel, who was the star of the team at the time. And again, he really shouldn't even been a star.
Mm. Let me ask you
So I
this:
mean, mhm.
could you see Adrian Griffin coaching with the Lakers?
No,
No.
no, no, because I think GM LeBron is okay being in charge. He's a GM coach, and I
Well,
don't
he's
think
in trade
Adrian.
talks right now.
Oh, they're
He
not going.
must trade.
They already said they're
He's a
not
must
going to trade him.
trade target. They're not going to trade him.
Yeah, Rich Paul came out and said they're not going to trade him.
I wonder if it. But yeah, but what he got 2 more years?
LeBron going to stay there until Bronny gets picked up. Then he's going to leave. I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Oh, so
Unbelievable.
so he might
That
be
could be
going to
quite.
Detroit. If I say this point, he might be going to Detroit. I ain't gonna hold
Could
you.
become that could become an embarrassing situation. I'm just looking for somewhere for this man. I'm looking for somewhere for this man to get another job, and I would like to see him with a contender. I would like to see him get a job with a contender, man. The way he's getting pushed out of, well, the way he was pushed out of Milwaukee, I just think that that's so unfair. He can never trust Glenn again,
No, he's not.
and
I
no
mean,
type of
honestly, I could see him being the Portland Trailblazers next head coach because I think they about to get Chauncey up out of there. Like, love Big Shot to death, but they ain't doing nothing
yeah,
with that team. And
nothing,
unfortunately,
nothing.
even when they
He
had
he's not working with much either.
he
But
wasn't, but mind you, he was the coach when Dame was still there too. So
yeah,
they're going
yeah,
to use that against him, even though Dame was hurt most of the time. But I just got a feeling like if they get a high pick, which I feel like they will, they want a new breath of fresh air, and I feel like Chauncey's gonna get up out of here, and I think Adrian
you're
Griffin
right. You're right
is gonna
because
be.
yeah, because they're not doing anything up there.
Mm-mm. They don't got nothing either. Like
Mm,
so, because think about it, all the good coaching jobs, everybody's
hmm
gonna. If they're a normal, regular, degular organization that got sense, all of them are gonna keep their coaches. Like I don't see them dropping anybody soon. So I think he's going to have to get one of these lower tier teams, just like Ime, right? When Ime Udoka got let go by the Celtics, he had to go to the Houston Rockets, right?
good point.
But unlike Ime, Adrian Griffin don't have no crazy baggage either. So it's just
Yeah.
unfortunately there's no good coaching opening. So I think
Hmm.
he's going to be stuck with that Portland job. Or
Hmm.
even I wouldn't mind seeing him go to the Orlando Magic either. I think that would be a
Yeah.
perfect fit for him too. A bunch of young guys, they play hard. Some of their guys got bright futures. They just gotta stay
Hmm.
healthy, and I
Hmm.
think he could take that team to the next level too. Because
How do you
Pablo's.
feel?
Mhm.
How do you feel with Glenn coaching, right? With two
Mhm.
Celtics on that All-Star team.
I mean, listen. Pop wasn't there when we got those two All Stars, so it should have been three. That's why my caption is Ball Bandit for All Star 2025. Y'all know who the Ball Bandit is? That's my man Derek White. We used to call
Yeah,
him
the ball
Headband.
man. Headband, man.
We used to call
Headband.
him Headband. Then he cut his hair off. Now I call him the Ball Bandit. But first of all, ESPN, I'm gonna say you something, but ESPN did him dirty. They tried to put up all like who should have been the All Star reserves. Everybody had
Yeah,
legitimate stats. They had our record next to this man, like he don't be putting up buckets and stuff. I was like, yo, why y'all do my boy
yeah.
the ball bandit like that? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he's a straight bucket getter too, man.
I try to tell you.
Maxie's a reserve too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, but Tyrese Maxey deserved it. To me, Tyrese Maxey should win Most Improved Player of the Year. Like he is balling. Like he is balling. He would have
Yeah,
like I'm not mad. They picked Trey Young, who I guess is a name, and Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a bucket. I'm okay with that being one of the reserve picks. Scotty Barnes is
yeah.
very underrated. He's going to be a future star in the NBA. I'm calling it now. Yes, you wait. Trey Young
Oh
is
yeah,
only
I like
averaging
Scotty
17
Barnes.
points. Yeah, Trey Young's only averaging 17 points per game, and he is not being an impact like he used to be. I don't think he should have been an All Star reserve. I think he got it off the name. I think Headband has been a pivotal part in the Boston Celtics'
Hmm.
success, especially filling those shoes of Marcus Smart. And
Hmm.
not for nothing, all the losses we had so far, I think we had like six. Four of those losses was because he wasn't playing. We
Wow.
lost. Yeah, 4 of those losses because he was in on the court. He had some big games for the Boston Celtics this year. His defense is very, very, very underrated, and he's up there for those who watched the Golden State NBA Finals. But 2 years ago, when the Celtics were in there, he was
Mm-hmm.
the big reason why the Celtics were even in those games. That man was averaging like 20 points per game. like
Mm,
like
mm,
the ball bandit is him, and he's having one of the best years in his career. And I
mm-hmm.
don't think that he should have been, excluded off that because Porzingis was one of the people that they brought up too, and I think he's been more valuable than the unicorn. And the unicorn's been balling this year. Like he's been balling. So yeah, shout out to my man, the ball bandit. I'm gonna get a
All
T-shirt. I'm gonna
right.
campaign for him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it's I don't mind that Glenn is coaching them because he has no effect on them. Like it's cool. Like
Right.
plus again, it's like it's more of the principle of why we're upset that he's coaching the All Star game. I don't
Yeah.
care who coaches the All Star game because again, it's the game is really irrelevant. It's a nice thing that the league do for the fans. I think it's always a great event. The slam
Right.
dunk competition needs to get a little better because it's getting a little boring
Yeah.
and cheesy. But
Yeah.
the game itself, I enjoyed the players playing a little harder the last couple of
Mm-hmm.
years because they've been doing this
Hmm.
whole draft thing. I think there
Yeah.
should be like a money pot, just like how the in-season tournament happened. And I think you'll
Mhm.
get some really, really good basketball if you
Yeah.
do that. That would be
Yeah.
my suggested change. But other than that, it's just more of the principle of Adrian Griffin should not have a job, barring him, not doing anything,
Right.
wrong or breaking, team or
I don't know
league
if we've ever seen
policies.
this before. I don't know if we've ever seen anything like this before. I,
Once
I,
David Black,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
David,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
David Black
Yeah. We
was
have.
Cleveland had the number one record in the league, and
Yeah.
LeBron was like, "Nah, I'm just not feeling them." And then
Right.
that's how we got Ty Lue.
Right. Right. But let me ask you this though. Was Kyrie Irving on that team?
Yeah, they all were on that team. That was like
Okay.
peak. That
And they
was
still
peak.
broke up. Right. They
Yeah.
still broke up
Well,
though. They still
well,
broke up.
again, you said
I don't.
Kyrie,
But
so
I don't know if we like. Do you really trust that Cleveland team? Like people trust this Milwaukee team? I
oh,
mean, because I
absolutely not.
mean, because
Because
I mean that's why I said is the difference between this situation and that one. Like this Milwaukee Bucks team, it was like NBA Finals. We're talking NBA Finals and
yeah,
favorites. It's like man, like you fire this man. That's because you say he's trending in the wrong direction. Nah.
so here's the thing. I trusted the Cleveland team more because again, as you've seen, they have the best player in the world. Even in this day, LeBron James. I don't care what nobody said. No way, no 38-year-old man should be doing the things he be doing still. The fact that
Mhm.
he is even considered top five in the league right now, he's 38. And we had, and when it's playoff LeBron, he turns on a whole different switch, and it's crazy that he can still do that at this age. But
Good point.
for me, Milwaukee, honestly, I still believe in their run, they just got lucky to me because again, I still don't like for real. I really don't see like again, Chris Middleton balled out of his mind, right? And I'll give him
Mhm.
that much credit. And then
Mhm.
Giannis did Giannis things, but like again, like I
Will
wasn't impressed with their run, to be honest. I really wasn't.
will will Glenn Rivers pull another uh I don't want to call it a catastrophe, but will he fix this Milwaukee Bucks team? Will he
No,
fix them?
absolutely no. With the only thing that could fix this Milwaukee Bucks team is Giannis and Dame, right? Reason why I say that is because those two are the people where it's like Giannis, you kept saying you wanted to get out of Milwaukee unless you got help. All right, we gave you help. Dame, you
Mhm.
kept trying to say, I want to be loyal, but yada yada yada. But then now you wanted to get out of Portland because you want to win. This is your opportunity. I don't care who the head
Mhm.
coach is. If y'all don't show up, y'all don't play the way y'all supposed to play as top 10 players in the world, then I don't care who the coach is. Again, we can blame Glenn
Yep.
all we want. I know what I'm getting out of Glenn because I've seen it for the
Hmm.
last 15, 20 years. I know
Yep.
he when the moment is big, he ain't gonna coach me no one out of a paper bag,
Right.
especially if you want to go against. Like especially like don't run into the Miami Heat because I know Eric Spoelstra will out coach Glenn. He done it multiple
Yeah.
times. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't go against the Warriors because I know Steve Kerr could probably out coach Glenn. I mean,
Yep.
shoot, you let Joe Mazzulla out coach you. He's not even a
Yep.
good coach in my opinion. He just
Yep.
got a very talented team, but he made those 2-3 adjustments and it
Boy.
worked in Game 7. So
Yes, I'm telling
you got beat by a first year coach in a Game
you.
7 in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, and you
Yeah.
have 20 years of experience coaching, 20 plus years. So Glenn is Glenn. Like to be honest, this is all gonna fall on Giannis and Dame,
Right.
and this is gonna. And again, I don't hear no excuses. Y'all better make
Yeah.
sure y'all get your bodies right and be healthy. Because
Yeah.
again, if y'all don't win and y'all get a second round exit, I'm blamed to go all around because y'all want Adrian Griffin gone, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now,
And I mean, I mean, they pushed him out the door.
yeah.
I mean,
So now,
they pushed him out of there.
yeah. Because so to me right now, it's one of those things where it's just like I can't blame Glenn even if he does have a meltdown. Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, if the players truly wanted this, y'all better show up. Y'all
Yep.
better because there's only so
Yep.
much there's only so much the ownership could do before he starts looking at the players and be like, so what y'all gonna do?
Yeah. And I look at Glenn, right? And I look at Glenn and I look at this team. I say, well, like, all right, they already say that Dame doesn't play defense, and
Mhm.
Glenn's not the best defensive coach. So it's like, man, I don't see it working together at all. I think it's a bad marriage.
Yeah,
And I think the timing is off.
I
I
mean,
think
I, I agree with you, and I believe all those things. But at the same time, like I said, that's what they wanted, right? So if this is what y'all wanted, y'all better win. Because to me, I look at it like this: anything less than the Eastern Conference Finals from Doc, I don't
mm,
think you should. I don't think you get deserve to be a head coach anymore in this league. I think it's time for
mm,
you to go ahead and retire. Go ahead,
mm,
get
mm,
your TV analyst spot. Because
mm,
to be honest, there's too many good young coaches or up and coming
mhm,
coaches out there for you to continue to take a spot just to be mediocre. To be
mm.
honest,
I
and
agree.
that's you had too many
I
talented
agree.
teams. So if Glenn had 4 or 5 rings, if he was like Coach Pop level, cool, whatever. Because at least if you've been coaching these different teams and you've been winning with these talented teams, I'd be like, all right,
Mhm.
at least you still pushing the, you still have a good argument in case that you are one of the top coaches in the league. But for me,
Yep.
to me, you're not. Your regular season record shouldn't reflect, you know, as your whole
Yeah.
career. And
Yeah.
right now, when I'm looking at your playoff performances, they're god
Mhm.
awful. Outside of 2008 and 2009, outside of the year
Yeah.
you had 3 Hall of Famers on your team, all the
Mhm.
rest of them are god awful. Like,
Suspect.
because even when
Suspect.
you, because even when he got far in the playoffs, they were
Yeah.
terrible losses. He was up
Yeah.
3-1 a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couple of
You
times
know
he
what
was
I
up
looked
three
at?
one.
You know what I looked at? What it was another surprising stat? Don't you know that the NBA must have recognized it too because he don't have any Coach of the Year awards.
No, for what? For
Even
what?
his championship year.
But why?
Even
Why
his
would I give you? Why would I
yeah,
give you a championship when you had the first ever Big Three? They started the Big Three era. They started the whole concept of
man,
having the Big Three
that's a
in super
great point.
teams. You
Yeah,
had the
yes.
first super
Yes.
team.
Yes.
I'm not giving you coach of the year for that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They
You're the
almost spearheaded that super team stuff.
he's the reason why we got super team. Not him in particular, Danny Ainges, but they're
Yeah.
the reason why there's super team now. The only reason why Miami became super team because no one could get past the Boston Celtics. Then when
Man,
no
that's a
one could get
great point.
past Then when no one could get past Miami, then you saw other super teams come together.
Yep.
Then when
Yep.
LeBron went to Cleveland, this next super
Yeah.
team, even though technically
Yeah.
they weren't because they were
Right.
hand built, was the
Mhm.
Warriors. Then when Cleveland super team beat the Warriors. Then all of a sudden, here comes KD joining the Warriors to make a super team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
all started with Boston. Like they
Yep.
were the super team. They were the only
Man.
because that was the first ever time where you saw Hall of Famers come together and they all weren't homegrown on the team. Because back in the day, it was you stayed on the team you were drafted by. That's why Kobe
Yeah.
stayed with the Lakers for
Yeah.
so long and stuff like that. Like that was
Yeah.
that was unheard of. That's why it was
Yeah.
such a big deal when LeBron left Cleveland after being there for 10 years. Because again, that wasn't heard. That was unheard of. Then all of a sudden, you have this lean green Boston machine that keeps getting all these bets
Woo.
and all
Woo.
stars, and they ran the East. They
Yeah.
ran the East until the Miami Heat got their victory.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
so again, I'm not giving you Coach of the Year when you legitimately had 3 first ballot Hall of Famers on your team.
Yeah. That's what I mean, yeah,
Kevin
when you think
Garnett
about
won
Hall of Famers.
MVP and Kevin Garnett won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Again, Ray
Mhm.
Allen and Paul Pierce were both top 10 scorers in the league at the time. Like,
Mhm.
and they were both top 10 scorers in the league before they came to Boston.
Yep.
They literally
And guess
called
what
Ray Allen
and guess
Jesus
and guess what
Shuttleworth.
else and guess what else they did? They played defense.
Yeah.
They
And
played
that's what I'm
they
saying.
played defense.
Ray Allen's nickname was Jesus before he came
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Paul Pierce was named the truth.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
they didn't
And
nobody said, yo, we need Glenn. No one said that.
yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, Jesus Shuttlesworth. So
Yeah. I'm sure when Danny Ainge was cooking up his team, he wasn't like, you know what, we need Glenn in this to make this the
right,
perfect recipe.
right,
Ain't no
right.
me and you could have coached. I'm trying to tell you, me and you could have coached that
Yeah.
team.
We could have coached that damn team to a title.
Yeah.
What?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like,
That's a
KG was
good
the main
point.
one running the defense, and you not a defensive coach. So and that was
Right,
the team.
right.
So that's what I'm
And,
saying. Like,
I know it's like he's getting all this hype, man. And over the years, I know we respect him because he played in the league, and I know he's been on TV a lot. He's always seems to be talking. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like he don't say no to anybody. But I'm gonna tell you something, boy. Rasheed Wallace, boy. Rasheed said
yeah,
he ain't worth. He can't coach worth a damn.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
forgot about him. He was on the team. Like
yeah.
he was
Oh,
like, and he
yeah.
was coming off. He was coming off as a 6 man. He was
Woo,
he was a starting power
woo,
forward
shit.
on a winning Pistons team, and they
Yeah,
won the chip. So
yeah,
you had Sam Cassell, Brandon Bass, Rasheed Wallace. I forgot
damn,
all about Rasheed, so I'm glad you
yeah,
told me that.
she,
Kevin
yeah,
Garnett, Paul
uh-huh,
Pierce, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo. That's your seven people rotation. That's not even getting in the bench yet. That's not your
yeah,
Tony Allens of the world who was a
mhm.
defensive dog. What coach do I need? Why am I giving you coach of the year?
I'm telling
He,
you,
even Rasheed
I'm
Wallace
telling
said
you,
they went. He would say stuff in the huddle, and they would just huddle up themselves and say, "Yo, this is what we doing."
we're doing, yeah. And she
So
came
you,
there with rings,
yeah. So you not coaching. You're not coaching anything. And
right,
yo, no, yeah.
right,
So
right.
no, Glenn. And again,
That's a great point, man. He wasn't nothing but just like somebody to
your
fill in
face.
right there.
You're
Yeah,
you're the president. You're the
yeah,
face, but they're the legislative branch. They made all the rules. They made all the bills. They have all the power. You was just there
yeah,
to collect the. Because again, to me, again, like you said, it's a great story. Ex-player. He was a coach. He wasn't bad. Mediocre at best. He won a chip. That was nice. Even though you had nothing but Hall of Famers on your team, cool.
right.
But at the same time, like I
Yeah,
get it.
plenty of Hall of
I,
Famers, man.
I get it.
Plenty.
Like, listen, I
The
if the Buccaneers
Greg
don't
was
know, I'm a Celtics fan, right? And here's
mhm,
the thing, I get it. It was a nice moment for me back in the 8th grade or whatever it was. But I
right.
guarantee you, looking back at it, I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh my God, Doc is the greatest coach of all time." I was like, "Yo, Kevin Garnett was a beast." Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because you just think about that talent you're talking about. You know how easy it must have been to coach that year? It must have been so nice. I bet you that's the best sleep he's had in his career.
I
I
will tell
bet
you
you that.
this: most teams don't have a 7-man rotation anymore at all in general. So the fact that you
Mhm.
had that 7-man rotation back in 2008, it's really
Oh,
hard for you to mess up. You really
oh,
can't mess up
man.
subs. You really can't
Oh,
mess up subs.
no, you can't. You can mix and match anywhere with that. And I'm talking about you had defense and bucket getters on the floor at the same time, all the time. You had rim protection, and scorers on the floor at
Ba-
all time.
Basically, he
And
had
bullies.
yeah. Basically, he had if you weren't able to play defense, you want to at least drop 16 points. That's what
Mm,
his team looked like,
yeah. I don't
or you
even
did
think that
both.
that I don't even think that that was fair, man. You got
Oh, it
Kendrick
was.
Perkins you got Kendrick Perkins and Rasheed Wallace coming off of the bench and Big Baby Davis, who was
Yeah.
balling at the time. He was balling out. He was a low post problem down there. He was coming in and bullying people.
'08 to 2013 was one of the better Celtics teams that ever came through the organization. So I'm not going to
Mhm.
give you credit for just being the guy that just sub people
Man, I
in. And
gotta
multiple
agree.
players have came out and said he was not the reason for their success.
Oh, Jay, I know you hear that. Look,
Yep.
the scoreboard has spoken.
Oh yeah. We
Glenn,
knew he was going to get
Glenn,
there. I knew.
listen, Glenn got his ass kicked.
Yeah, I knew
We
this was
don't.
a this is marked on the calendar as a blowout. I mean, we already
Yeah,
knew that.
listen, man, Glenn, we don't agree with you being, let alone the all-star coach. We got a problem with you being a head coach in the league right now.
Yeah,
We don't
I
even
do.
understand what's going on. I'm confused. I'm confused. I can't say that, I can't say that I'm surprised because things happen. We see crazy things happen within coaching in all sports. But
Yeah.
I am definitely baffled by the situation. I feel bad for Adrian Griffin. I wish the brother the best. I hope he get a job somewhere, man. Like
Same.
ASAP. You know what I mean?
And listen, I want to make this clear. Listen, I have nothing personally against Glenn. If he does well, congrats. If you don't, good luck. Same with you, Adrian Griffin. Good luck, my brother. I hope you get another job. I just can't stand by and watch another man take another man's job with a full, with consciously knowing it's wrong. If it is, like again, by the time we release this, y'all tell me Adrian Griffin was out here committing bank robberies or some shit, some stuff like that. Then I'll take it. We'll run it back, and then I'll go ahead and defend the scoreboard 2 to 138 and see if we could make up some ground. But if not, yeah, this is I can't support you on this one, Glenn. My guy, you on your own. Hopefully this
Yeah,
season turns out unlike the
yes,
other ones. And
sir.
if it do, you might as well just go ahead and get on ESPN and be this
Yeah.
play-by-play host. Go
Sp-
ahead and get this check.
spoken like a true hooper from the
Yep.
headband all-star for 2025.
Yes, sir. Yes, to my man on the offense. Don't stop playing.
Man, let me tell you, man. I'll tell you, you know, it's just like I said, I hope the man gets a job. I hope Adrian gets a job. I don't know if I could, I mean, as far as trust to go, I don't know if he's going to be able to trust anybody in that type of situation anymore. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have want anybody looking or consulting with anybody. He probably
No.
had to agree to that to even take place. They probably asked him, and if he would have said no, they probably would have released him right away.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that he may have saw some of the writing on the wall, and then the way the players was acting towards him, he probably seen that. He probably knew that that thing was coming down the pike at
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know he seemed like a hell of a coach. He seemed like a good guy, and I'm pretty sure somebody will pick him up. Man, he ain't gonna be on the streets long.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He
I
does.
mean, for me,
He at least deserves a legitimate shot, like a
no
full
doubt.
season. Like I don't care if the team's bad or good. At least we want to see him actually see what he really is capable of. Because getting kicked out, they didn't even let this man get to the All Star break. That's that's not even half the season. That's crazy. Like,
I agree, man. I agree. But I'm gonna tell you what, that scoreboard say that Doc Rivers got his ass kicked, people. And I'm just Doc Rivers got his ass kicked. And I'm just want to say to everybody out there, I want to thank y'all for joining us on this. This is our second episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. We have fun. I have my boy Jay up in here, the head man. You know what I'm saying?
so
And man, look, man, I can't wait till we get these other episodes going. I recommend everybody out there to like, share, and subscribe so you guys can come to the, and join the panel and give us your input and get on the scoreboard. You know what I'm saying, Jay?
yes, sir.
Come in here,
Buck,
come in here and score. Let's do some battle.
yeah,
You
let's go
know?
bucket getters. Let's go. Get these
Yeah,
points up.
So you know how it is.
Yes, sir.
So, it just is what it is. So I just want to leave everybody. You know how we leave, man, because like I said, we God fearing over here. So I just want to leave y'all with something. It's Psalms chapter 5, verse 5. It says, "The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity." And that's the words of the Most High. Like I said, if it wasn't for him, this podcast wouldn't be possible. And I look forward to seeing y'all on the next episode. Jay, we got to
Yes,
get
sir.
this thing rolling, get
Yes,
these
sir.
topics going. And listen, people, please like, share, and subscribe so you can come in here and join the panel so we can get you guys in here because we would love to hear your input. We would love to
Oh,
hear your input. We would love to see if you can get on the scoreboard. We don't care what it is. We don't care what who you're a fan of. We don't care what. We're universal around here. And you can't put us in a box. We talk all sports. We talk all teams. It does not matter. So we look forward to seeing you. Jay, all I
yes,
can say
sir.
is, man, you're on fire tonight, baby.
Hey, man, listen. You know,
Yes, sir.
I had to show off
Score.
for had to show off from a man the ball bandit. You know what I mean? Somebody got
Yeah,
to play.
man.
Somebody got
Man,
to
you
play
should
in
have.
the game. You know what I mean?
Man, I think you put up a triple double tonight.
Hey, man, listen. Just trying to do what I
Yeah,
need to do for the team to win, brother. You know what I
no doubt.
mean?
No doubt, no doubt. Man, well, look, man, it was a pleasure, man. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And
Yes, sir.
we'll link up, my brother.
Sounds good. Bucket getters.
Peace.
See y'all later. Peace.
No doubt.